What up, guys? Welcome to the International School of 南山深圳。前段时间接到了这个学校的邀请，去来陪他们9年级，也就是我们初三的学生们聊一聊他们现在一个学生项目，就是关于餐饮的。我只大概知道了简单流程，就是我坐下来，然后让这些孩子们对我指指点点和提出一些他们关于我行的一些问题。当然，具体的我还不是很清楚了，很期待看看他们到底有些什么好奇的东西。Yeah, come on, let's go. 下午好。We cleared it with Ernie if it's okay to film on site for some B-roll for content that we make as well. We'll try our very best to keep away from the students themselves.
Cool.
Yeah. Wow, international schools are different. This is very different from how I grew up.
I'm super interested now, but I'll try and restrain myself.
I'm also surprised that kids are doing school projects related to starting a food truck business.
I know, right?
I thought you guys were told to advise against terrible decisions.
But they've got some really interesting ideas, like mashups that I wouldn't have thought worked.
Oh yeah, I know,
it's the process. Yeah.
It's super fun until they have to start laboring and scrubbing dishes. Good afternoon, guys. So sorry to keep you waiting. How's everybody doing today? Good. Good? Awesome. I'm Caden Scow. I run a couple restaurants in Shenzhen. We also have a couple food factories. Just gonna get the boring stuff out of the way. We also do kitchenware, appliances, and we make our own food-related content. Today, I will endeavor to treat you all like the intelligent people you are, not sugarcoat anything and answer any pertinent questions you have about my industry. Because you are no longer the age where I have to make things more comfortable than they need to be for you. So is that a good deal for you guys? All right, awesome. Before we get started, are there any just random questions you have so we can get the tickles out of the way before we get to the meat of the afternoon? Go for it. I don't want to run a food truck. I never have. I come from a background of, sweat, toil, stripy aprons, allowed to say 3 things like yes, chef, no chef, right away, chef. And food trucks are usually run by young kids called Braden with neck tattoos. Right? It's like, I did a stage in Denmark for 3 months, and my dream is to make Korean, Mexican, fusion cafe lifestyle brand. Those people make food trucks. So a little bit about my ethos. At your age, if we're being honest, every generation has their dreams of fame. When I was roughly your age, everybody wanted to be a rapper or a singer or a dancer or a director or an actor. And then when we grew up, we realized that's really hard. And the next dream was to be a reality show host, an influencer, something along the lines of a celebrity plus, meaning a chef or a creator, maker, a potter, an interior designer, what have you, because that's easy. In your generation, you are met with the flavor of cook that I hate the most, which is someone that doesn't need to make good food. He just has to be easy to look at, and you can just make things look not disgusting. You can be a celebrity chef. So the industry's a little bit messy right now, which is why starting an actual physical business has gotten harder and harder. Shall we move on to the juicy questions, or do we have any more tickles?
How old are you now?
Me? I am 31 going on 32. Well, we'll be 32 in a couple months from now. You can call me Shu Zhuo. The beginning of my career. Okay. Is everybody here interested? Sure. So I made it into a very Ponzi sort of English-style all-boys school at the age of 13. I went there for all of about 5 months before I was expelled. I don't recommend it, but that was my life. Now, I don't have much to be proud of in my lifetime except for good fortune and the ability to learn relatively quickly. My first bit of good fortune was very objective parents, and they were very open and allowing with the fact that, hey, if you tried what we wanted you to try and it didn't work out, so if you want to do what you want to do, we're not going to support you, but we're not going to stop you. And I wanted to be a cook because during my tenure at this all-boys school, punishment was forced labor, essentially, either helping the gardeners with the weeds or helping the kitchen with the prep for mess hall that evening. The man in charge of the mess hall was kind enough to keep in touch with me after my expulsion, asked me if I wanted an apprentice's job where he used to cook as a young lad, and that was all she wrote. So after that, my parents gave me all green lights all the way through to go cook across the classical world. And that's roughly my background. Any questions about that? All right, hit me.
Why did you come to China?
I didn't come to China, I came back to China. I'm from here.
Why did you come back?
Because would you like the honest answer?
Yes.
I don't like a Western lifestyle. I was raised with the values of East Asia. and the fundamental communication skills, regardless of the language you speak, differ a lot. The things that we hold dear and important are different. So whether it be socially, intellectually, financially, moralistically, emotionally, we communicate in very, very different ways. And there's no better or worse of it. It's just an incompatibility that I didn't want to be part of the white noise of my existence.
Kathy, right up front. So your question was, what is the most important advice you would give someone who wants to start a business?
Perfect. I recommend that you make a very honest decision, a conversation with yourself on whether you want to be on the laboring side of your business, the administrating side of your business, or the lying side of your business. Because the owning of a business, it sounds like giggles now, is you're trying to convince people who have no idea who you are to give you money for something they never asked you to do. You don't need to do what you want to do, you just want to do it. And beyond that, you want to make people pay for it, which requires labor, lying, and administrating. Administrating being the dealing of internal peoples, your colleagues, your uppers, your lowers, and your acrosses. The laboring being actually the nitty and the gritty, right? Prepping the ingredients, making sure you have enough pencils in the jar. Or there's the lying, which is the marketing, the communications, the advertising, the putting the face to the business and making people say, yeah, I'll trust you with my money, but why? There is no why. The unfortunate point of business is you have to come to terms with the fact that you are doing a, by definition, unnecessary thing. There's not many businesses on earth that are necessary, right? Human innovation is not driven of necessity a lot of the times. It was people having, up until about 100 something years ago, it was necessity, after which it was just, I want to make this, and I want people to pay me for it. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, the next question is from Stanson. So the question is, why did you decide to work in this industry, and how did you figure out what your goals were?
I wanted to work in this industry out of circumstance. It was good fortune. So during my punishments in the kitchens, I realized that I really like the feeling of being inside of a stainless steel pirate ship. You ever see like those pirate rules, like pure anarchy, but also democracy at the same time? You're allowed to vote your captain on and off as long as you're outside of the terms of battle. That's pirate politics, and it exists solely in kitchens. Pirates didn't retire, they just started cooking instead of murdering. And I love that. So I was a teenager, I was roughly your age. I started cooking when I was 13 on 14. And imagine, like as a young boy, we struggle with acceptance amongst our peers and being comfortable in our own skin with what we've done. It's one of the boy struggles. And imagine you walk into a room full of like smoky, like bearded, angry, tatted up men yelling and groping each other and slamming pots on the ground. And it's violence and chaos, but they all marched in perfect harmony to the beat of one man's drum, and that was Chef. And I really enjoyed the kind of conductor's spirit, the orchestra of chaos, and I wanted to be in that environment. I didn't care about food. As long as you gave me a knife and somewhere to stand in a kitchen, I was happy. So I realized at that point that no matter what I tried in the future, I would have to end up in a kitchen. But that's my personal story. Now, my goals for my business were simple. I am sick of people telling me that Chinese people are stupid. That's an unfortunate thing to say out loud. It breaks my heart, but it is true. The general narrative is that the broad spectrum of the average Chinese consumer is quite dull. Dull, I agree with. Unintelligent, I do not. But people conflate these two facts. There is a fine line and people conflate them. So I wanted to create food-related businesses that prove the average Chinese consumer is capable of brave and foreign decision-making. So going to a restaurant they might not want to, going to a restaurant they might not understand, as long as you treat them like intelligent beings. So my goal is to prove that that is viable, both emotionally and as a business, and fiscally responsible. Yeah, and that was the bet I made. So, and that's the bet that I continue to make. So it's still my goal. It's been consistent since we've started. Have I answered your question? Awesome, thank you.
Juliet's asking, what inspired your regional business idea or concept?
Okay, so my original location was Magpie in Shenzhen. It's an OCT loft. We've been open for the better part of a decade now. Our first restaurant was meant to be, I guess you've heard the term proof of concept before, right? So while most people try to prove the hardware, we tried to prove the premise. The premise being, like I said, Chinese consumers aren't that dumb. They're just kind of dull, especially in Shenzhen. Shenzhen is a perfect pacemaker of efficiency, absent any sort of cultural or heritage pressure. So that was a perfect bedrock for us to build an odd restaurant on. So we chose a medium, oddly priced location in an oddly located place in the hallway of OCT Loft that used to be a storage closet, serving vague food at a weird price that no one really asked for in a market that didn't need it. And if we can survive and profit with those conditions, it is inarguable proof that I'm really good at my job. I don't think anybody, as arrogant as that makes me sound, I don't think that's arguable, right? Everything was stacked against us, and we're still here. The people who gave us pointers have shuddered. So that gave us the leverage to start our other brands. Woodpecker, Chickadee, Oreo, Corvide. We also had, I'm forgetting my own restaurants now. Starling, our American-style diner. So we landed those projects during COVID. Q3 of 2022, we offloaded them. Everything has a price point. You just have to hit mine. So we offloaded. Have I answered your question? Awesome, thank you.
You said something very specific about weird food.
Yes,
like
weird.
That people probably wouldn't want, but you're going to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
What's probably, I think some of them will have this question, what's one of the weirdest dishes that you have at Magpie that still somehow manages to sell?
We change our menu every 2 months, but some of our classics that made people uncomfortable, we had the PETA Unfriendly Antipasti, which is just a plate of turtle eggs served with different kind of caviar and roe. It was just designed to make really soft people uncomfortable. We had brains, tongues, pretty much the insides and outsides of every animal you can think of. One of my absolute favorites that we served was an ant parfait. So in Jilin, they have a long tradition of being the most agriculturally unfortunate of the 3 northeastern provinces, despite there being food all over the ground. I don't know why they did this. And they had a habit of eating ants and feilong and a lot of game meats. So we made a parfait out of all the games that we could find and garnished with crispy ants and served it with a big thick shot of soju. Yeah, it was great. Weird is what we need. The food context of Magpie is Manchurian food repackaged in an annoying way that I can charge more money for. Yeah? Shall we move on to the next question?
Sure.
Awesome, thank you.
Eric wanted to know, why did you choose to run multiple types of businesses instead of focusing on just one?
Necessity. If one of them fails, which it won't to do eventually, you want to be able to stand on some other legs. The analogy that I love telling myself all the time is a technically better way to design a chair is if you remove one of the legs, because it has one less direction it can fall over. But who the hell wants to sit on a chair with only 3 legs? I don't want a business that looks good based on just, like my 3-legged chair. It can be the best chair made of the best materials, but it's still a 3-legged chair, man. Right? I want to have an extra leg to create some stability, so I diversified my business.
Helen,
Hi.
what is one risky decision you made in your business, and what did you learn from it?
Starting a business is the risky part of a business. Okay, one of the risks that I took that didn't work out for me, because those are more valuable than the ones that did. I went people heavy too early. I wanted to establish a working environment with partners and colleagues that I liked, and that was my first and biggest mistake. Because once you surround yourself with people you like, you don't have partners, you have a bunch of friends. And you don't need friends. Make friends on your own time. You want people that disagree with you in a conducive, productive, and profound manner. You want people to respectfully disagree with everything you say, and you need to be smart enough to come to a conclusion before. And you still need a decision maker, but you need to surround yourself with essentially no or maybe wait a second people, right? So I surrounded myself with like-minded people, and then we ended up being this echo chamber, this chaotic, vicious cycle of, oh, that sounds awesome, and then we would waste resources and time and energy because no one checked themselves, because we were all vibing. Right? Yeah, that sounds great, let's do it. Why? Nobody asked why. So that's one of the risks that I took. I thought that I could make a really positive energy, friend-forward business, and it sucked. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
I think it did. Can I ask a follow-up?
Please.
So, for your business, you said that now you have people that disagree with you. So how do you kind of communicate with people without it turning into more of like an argument that doesn't really get anywhere?
Do you want my answer or the answer?
Both.
Sure. The answer is make sure that you guys are all respectful and on the same page, and make sure that we all feel vibey and good with each other at every single meeting. Email back and forth for 3 weeks, as per my last blah, blah, blah. We should circle back and talk about this, just things that don't make sense. My answer is someone has to be the bad guy. The only real thing you can do is preemptively tell people that you plan on being the bad guy. People are allowed to have their opinions. They're not allowed to affect the decision making, depending on how you structure your business, of course. So I have the fortune and misfortune of being the guy who puts his stupid fat hand on the table, and then things start moving, whether for the better or for the worse. So communication, in my opinion, is as simple as making sure that everybody knows when there is no room for discussion. A lot of highly intelligent people, and intelligence I use in this context as a general descriptor, not as a compliment or derogatory. It's just unfortunate that everyone's mostly smart now. But they're just smart enough to be uncomfortable. They're not smart enough to fix their problems, and they're not dumb enough to not realize they have a problem, which makes them happy people. They're just smart enough to be pissed off all the time. And when people bring that mentality and a level of computing into a meeting, they just want to be heard, but they don't know what they're saying. So they want to discuss every single one of the ideas on the table, and that creates nonsense, just noise. You need to be able to cut through and be like, hey, are you trying to give me a solution? Or do you just want to make noises and have everybody listen to you? So at Magpie, we always give everybody the chance to speak before I open my mouth. And then as soon as I do, everybody needs to stop talking immediately. They need to trust that I've listened and that I've already processed and that the decision is still with me, because when I lose money, I still have to pay them, right? It's my wallet that hurts. Have I answered your question? Awesome, thank you.
What difficulties have you faced in running your company, and how did you deal with it? With them?
Cash flow is very, very huge. I'm a brick and mortar business. I used to rely on cash in, cash out, cash all the time. So having a big, thick cash pocket of in-case money is very, very comfy, and I didn't have that to begin with. I started the business with 1,472 kwai in our corporate bank account, which was not even enough to buy lunch for people for the month. So we had to really figure it out. I had to claw and beg. Another problem that I had to overcome quickly, I was raised to never have debt. Don't have debt. Do not owe people money. And that makes you a great person, but it makes you a bad business owner. Knowing how to leverage debt and use debt as a tool of business is essential. It's quintessential to success. There's no great company on earth that doesn't run on a heavy and substantial amount of debt. There's no country on earth that's powerful absent the existence of debt. It's when other people say, is he gonna pay me back? Ooh, that's when people think you're important, because you owe them money, right? So I had to learn to use debt to my advantage in a respectful and calm and structured way, right? So I'll go out of my way just to owe people money that I promise to pay them back across a long period of time, because that's almost like a sub-promise that they're expecting me to stay in business for that long. Have I answered your question? Awesome, thank you.
Steve's question, how do you make sure your business stays financially sustainable over time?
You can't. If you could make sure, then everybody would have a business. There's no such thing as make sure. You just have to trim the fat and do the amputations when they're necessary. Sustainable is different from profitable. Do you know the difference between cash positive and profitable? Cash positive is how much cash you end up with every single month. So if the 1st of January you have $100, and on the 1st of February you have $200, you're $100 cash positive. But that doesn't count for the business you've built around you, right? Your business costs money. So you're essentially this imaginary person that you have to pay back on a certain period of time that you designate. For example, if you built a truck and you decided, I'm gonna pay myself back, I'm gonna pay this truck off in 2 years, then every month for 24 months, you divide equally, then making the math easy, a portion of the cash that you have and throw it back in there. If that number is still positive after your debts, then you are profitable. So if you're saying sustainable, you can be sustainable as in a cash positive nonprofit scenario indefinitely, but you have to decide on if that's what you want. Right? In the food industry, the ideal scenario, traditionally speaking, is you're so awesome at your job that every single location is cash positive, and then you keep them for long enough across your lifetime that they eventually become profitable, and it feels like you're pulling an income that feels more like a paycheck from your location, plus the paycheck that you actually have because you pay yourself. And then if you're really good at your job, you have multiples of those. That's the traditional scenario.
How did you find your target audience, and how did you reach them?
Our branding language has been pretty consistent. So I'm a firm believer that good companies have a mission statement, but great companies have a mission question. If you really think deeply, it's either a mission question or a call to action. For example, Apple. We all love Apple, right? I don't know if you guys were old enough to remember this, but Think Different. Do you remember Think Different from Apple? Think Different was a call to action. It means don't be dumb like those PC users. Be weird like us. Use an Apple computer. Just do it. Come on, just put the shoe on. Put the shoe on. You love Nike, right? So we asked, where is the candor? Candor is missing in the Chinese market from top to bottom in every industry. Unfortunately, East Asian business practices have been predicated on how many people can I lie to build my success, right? Lie to the next guy, to lie to the next guy, to lie to the next guy until there's no more people to lie to left. So we built a restaurant off of candor, and we bet that that natural message will create enough momentum that it sustains itself across a long enough period of time. So our first actions were to make sure that our branding language was consistent, candor above all else. And then secondly, we did very, very physical marketing in a time when viral internet marketing was most popular, and we've been playing opposites ever since then. So we did handwritten invites, handwritten everything, disseminate them across the city, and give out our promotions and our discounts based on handwritten letters. So for example, all of our staff wrote 100 letters each, and if a diner returned with that letter in hand in an envelope, that was a dinner off. There's no discounts because it makes it feel cheap. It makes it feel transactional. A free dinner to me was 30, 40 kwai in cost, and then I make a friend for the rest of forever. And those guys still eat at Magpie because they only have 50 seats. My job is to pack 50 seats, right? Not fill an arena. Have I answered your question? Yeah? Awesome, cool, thank you.
Kuta, where are you?
That's a cool name, man. Did you name yourself? What is that? That's awesome. I love that. It sounds like a Ghost in the Shell character. All right, hit me.
So Kuta's question is, how important is branding, like a logo, when building a business?
It isn't. Because like, in the same way that like, you're not really able to agree or disagree with if people think you're attractive, it doesn't matter what your logo looks like. Only you like it. No one else cares. So as long as you're happy with it and you can wake up every day looking at it and go, aren't I clever? Then yeah, do that. Because no one else cares. Apple's just the apple with a bite out of it. And they made it more boring as the ages have gone by. They've only become more profitable. Mine's a squiggle on the ground. I just threw sauce at the floor. I'm like, oh, doesn't that look nice? Right? Yeah, so logos are nonsense. As long as you're happy with it, you're happy with it. It's your ability to make the logo mean something.
I mean, that's the part.
Yeah.
The ability to make your logo mean something.
Yeah.
And then it speaks for
Yeah, like for example, the thing that you guys are wearing on your left chest right now, like this is not a medieval institution from the Holy Roman Empire. You guys don't need a coat of arms, right? But when people see it, go, oh yeah, ISNS, because this school's been around for 20-something odd years, right? Yeah, same kind of vibes.
Going back to Carmen, which is presented now. How do you make food look appealing while also communicating healthier choices? This will be an interesting one, sir.
Healthy, where's Carmen right now? Okay. I don't. I do not pretend that I need to make food healthy because a lot of the times people don't want that. Largely people don't go to restaurants because they want a healthy option. They go to restaurants because they want exactly the opposite. They want to enjoy themselves absent the need to make responsible decisions. Of course, that depends largely on the type of your business. So making food attractive to people is simple. You have to pick a fight. You have to look generous and comforting, bombastic and enticing, or appealing and attractive in an ununderstandable way. Those are the three general directions you can go. So the latter of which being fine dining restaurants where once again some guy named Braden in a leather apron comes up to you with his neck tattoos like, hi, this is meant for sharing even though it's a prime number of things, but feel free to share 5 amongst 4 people. Enjoy your cold bites. And then people go, ooh, fancy, and they take their photos and videos and smoke comes out the bottom of the table and you print cash and then go bankrupt. Or you can be like a mom and pop shop, right? You show up and you go, wow, this is a lot of food and this place has never been cleaned once in its life, but I love it here. That's most of the restaurants we like, if we're honest. That thing that we grew up with, where the menu is sticky and the chair kind of wobbles and the waitress is just like someone's auntie, right? And she comes down and just kind of stares and waits for you to, those are the restaurants that are appealing, the kinds of appealing. Just pick one and stick with it. And healthy, only if you're health-based, never otherwise. That's my advice. What up, brother?
Are there times of the year when business is stronger or weaker, and how do you adapt your strategy?
Business is weak a month and a half on either end of Chinese New Year, a week and before and behind every single major holiday, which means that I only have half a year of good business every single year, year on year. So one thing that we like to do at Magpie is we structure our menus around those periods. So my heavy hitters are for good peak periods, and my kind of throwaway whatever menus that are cheap to make and manufacture and don't go off very quickly exist in my off seasons. I also do a lot of food that isn't afraid to be frozen. So we have cryovacs, vacuum chambers, and a walk-in that goes to 40 below. And you can just treat food treat that place like a time machine. So that's how we lower our costs. Otherwise, we just hang in there because you're gonna have bad months. You're not gonna be profitable month on month on month on month, right? Have I answered your question? Cool, awesome.
Let's move on. Let's do a presentation if we can.
Nice, Churro Lab, love it.
Okay, so one of the set options featured in our food truck is the cocoa matcha churro.
So this is my churro called the Lucky Churro. It's a pun against the cereal brand, the Lucky Charm.
Nice.
So our call to action is
Mix, match.
munch, and to start your favorite adventure at the Churro Lab.
Good morning, honorable executive and distinguished guests.
Whoa.
Today we'll be presenting our food truck business idea called
Let us wrap your burrito.
That is so funny. Sushi shawarma.
It's gonna show up later.
That I just want to look at this one. You know, that's awesome. It's like, hey, have you ever guys thought of sushi but bigger? All right, cool.
It's a juice up blend fresh banana and mixed berries.
The second menu item is called the spicy raw shrimp burrito.
For my menu item is the sushi shawarma. Its concept is to combine the ingredients of sushi with shawarma, Middle Eastern cooking techniques by marinating the meat, for example. Don't you want a concept that could actually succeed?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Are you ready to see a profitable food truck?
Heck yeah!
Oh yeah, and also there's one more.
Aren't you tired of seeing the same health scams over and over?
Oh, that's dangerous.
That's why you should choose us. Let's make some money!
Thank you very much, Cadence.
You're very welcome, guys.
We need to get downstairs, guys. He's taken time out of his schedule to come and present to you what he does and information. So just one round of applause for Cadence.
Very kind of you, thank you.
We need to already be in the auditorium, so let's go this way down to the 5th floor as quickly as you can.
客气客气. How you doing, sister? It's good to see you.
Yes.
It's good to see you. How do you think they did?
Good.
They did really well.
Yeah,
The kids are
well.
kids are getting sharper.
Yeah.
For some reason, shyer. As they get smarter and better looking, they get shyer for some reason.
Thank you so much. That was
You're very,
great
very
present.
welcome.
I think they don't know the depth of what they actually receive until later.
Oh, it's okay.
Like with most kids, but
Yeah, but I mean, they're sharper than I ever was.
I mean, my daughter was at the school and she graduated last year, and the other one 3 years ago. And they go out into the world and they're like, why do the rest of these students not know what I know?
Yeah.
Because we push them and we push them hard to do things.
for sure.
Thanks so much for coming through. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me. Shall we show ourselves out? I think we remember
I'll
the word.
walk you down.
All right,
there.
cool, awesome,
They've gone. so-
awesome. 我们先撇吧，成吗？其实没有我想象那么累，就是我进去的时候，我一开始很拘谨嘛，因为我觉得这是个很正式的事儿。然后同时呢，我也有点防备性心理，因为我很不喜欢这个年龄段的孩子。哦，这样吗？你不是吗？你在14、15岁的时候，不是那种天不怕地不怕，傻呵呵。我觉得初中是最叛逆的。对，但是没想到，他们比我想象的，就是干脆利落、智慧和理智很多。他们问的问题都是真的问题，甚至他们。哼，说出来挺难听的。他们问问题甚至都比大孩子还要直接。就现在很多成年人都不太会说人话，希望他们只是做一个学生项目而已，不希望他们真心打算考虑做餐饮，还有好多书要读呢。餐饮多累啊！嗨，是不 ？All right, talk often, talk soon, take care, guys. Bye bye.